from the Ticats Audio Network. This is Ticats Today with Louie Butko.
Yes, it is Ticats Day for a Monday, December the 12th, 2022. Do not know where the year went, but to help us figure it out, the Hamilton Spectator, Steve Milton, is with us, and Milty, the ink in black and white. Bo Levi Mitchell as Hamilton Ticats' next quarterback is starting to feel very real. You reported on a visit this weekend.
Right, he was here. I don't think many people knew that. I'm actually shocked, Louie, that more people didn't find out. But I think they were trying to keep it fairly low key because it really was just an information visit. As the story I think outlines in fair detail, the idea was for both sides to get to know each other, which is exactly why they made the trade on the Monday of Grey Cup week, right? Was so that they could buy that extra time to try to sell Bo Levi and his wife Madison on and their two daughters, obviously, on Hamilton, what it has to offer, the Ticats, the surrounding area, future of the team, all of those kinds of things, without the white noise of other teams talking to them. And they felt that if they could get him here and really, I don't want to call this a full court press, but it was pretty close, I think.
Was it in doubt that he wasn't going to make a visit, though? I mean,
no.
Okay. So he was going to, this is why the Ticats made this deal, right? I mean, we talked to on the Monday when the deal was announced, and he said, you don't make this deal without the expectation you're going to sign him. That hasn't been in doubt, has it?
Well, their expectation that they could make the proper pitch, I don't think has been in doubt. What's always in doubt is whether, and this is emphasized, and both Bo Levi and Orlando are on record in this column, and I think they tell anybody about this. They're not making any commitments on it. The idea was to find out what's here. At some point, Bo has to figure out, even though he can't talk to other teams, what else might be out there, and that includes looking at the lay of the land. And part of that will be who's coaching other teams and what their coaching staffs will look like, which is one of the things that I didn't even bring this up. Bo did. He said the most important thing to him is coaching and not just the head coach, all the way down. And the Ticats, all three of their top coaches, besides their head coach, I'm talking to three coordinators now, they're all signed for next year and are coming back. I think we've known, particularly on offense, that was going to happen ever since Ottawa signed Kahari Jones, who would have been the offensive coordinator and waiting if Tommy was not coming back here, Tommy Condell. So, apparently Bo has very high regard for Tommy Condell.
Well, I mean, I think I don't want to say you buried the lead, but I mean that is, I feel like that is newsworthy. What you had in your story here, that Steinauer and his top three aides, Condell, Mark Washington, and Craig Butler, all coming back. That's the first we've heard of it. Not that we would have expected anything differently because they were under contract, but obviously with Mark Washington reportedly interviewing and being one of the candidates for the job in Ottawa. Great get on that piece there too, Milty. The quote, like you said there, from Bo Levi here. The conversations with Tommy I've loved. I spoke for 2 hours Saturday with him all about football, and we didn't want to stop. I like his willingness to collaborate, to build something together. He's had a lot of quarterbacks in the past. Talks about how they're similar quarterbacks. I mean, that's a pretty encouraging quote, reading that, as a Ticats fan, that's a good collaboration that could work.
Well, that's in our business, in the print business. That's what they call an exit. A good exit out of a column. You hope people are still reading that far once you get to the bottom, but you want a good exit line, which is, and as I said to him, because he just did spend a few weeks in the media, right? He knows about it. And we talked about media and all those kinds of things, and I said, thanks. You just gave me my exit quote here because that does leave some encouragement. It doesn't hurt him to leave encouragement. And of course, he's not going to give away any kind of leverage. He has all the leverage here at the moment. Depending on where, because other teams are looking for guys of his caliber, teams that And, you know, I don't know how BC feels about whether they would rather have him or even Dane Evans, if that's the way it shakes down, over Vernon Adams. You don't know. Toronto, but everybody else seems to have something going on. Saskatchewan, of course, would like him, but I don't know that any quarterback that wants to win wants to go behind a team that hasn't shown that they can protect the quarterback.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So you think, if I were to put you on the spot, there's a 0% chance he signs before free agency? Where you leave the door open a little bit? I mean, he is going to want to test his options. There is that quote unquote legal tampering period. Does he get there and realize, okay, like what?
Not if the Ticats have their way.
Yeah, okay.
Not if the Ticats have their way. I mean, I think they're really working hard on this. There's a number of reasons. I mean, obviously you want to get your quarterbacking thing set.
Yeah.
But you also need to know what you have where, and, what do you do for second quarterback? All of those other things need to fall into fairly, I mean, you can do all of those during free agency, but you kind of would like to have a chance here. I asked Bo, he's still looking at free agency, and he said, yeah, but he didn't sound as adamant as he did a month ago. Right. He said, I'm not giving up. I mean, he didn't say this directly, but I mean, implied that he wouldn't be giving up giving up leverage. But you will know a lot more. You don't need to even do it illegally. The players talk to other players and all of those kinds of things about who's going to be where, all of those kinds of things. You can see the developments, who's signing who, of their own free agents back, of their own coaching staffs back. I think he's looking at what coaching situations will be at certain places in the league. And there are, again, that's starting to look like it's pretty steady. I think he can probably get a good lay of the land. He'll know exactly what the dollar value. Nobody said anything about having talked money, but I can't imagine they did not, at least in a general framework of it's going to be this or it's going to be that. And I think we could all pretty well guess the figures within about $50,000 of what Bo is going to get somewhere. Right. And that would be somewhere in the 650 range, right?
Yeah. Well, I go back to last year. I mean, Dane said the same thing to us after the season as well. He said, he was a free agent. He had every reason to wait and to see the market. And he told us that, but then the Ticats came in and presented him with an offer and made a pitch and it sold him. So, I mean, don't discount the persuasion of an Orlando Steinauer, a Tommy Condell, and the rest of that front office.
I agree. And I think there's a bit of a difference here. And that is, there is no other Bo Levi Mitchell out there, and there were arguably other Dane Evanses out there last year, right? Yeah. So that arguably, I mean, talking about in that range. Now, I will say, and I haven't written this yet, and so people can look forward to it maybe a little bit later this week, that Bo thinks that Dane is going to be a star in this league. Has a lot of compliment. And this was before he was even thinking about. This was before Dane had even lost his job to Jake Meyer. This was back in when they came into town for opening day, right? And Dane had told. Bo had told Dane before the game that he felt that he was going to be a superstar in this league.
Yeah, and I think there's still a lot of people out there who believe that, and I would raise my hand. I would raise my hand. I'm not one to count out Dane Evans.
No,
now, and
I think you and I both talked about this at the end of the season that with some changes in a few things, particularly to his mental adjustment, which we just, I think everybody realized it was a very hard year on Dane. Yeah. First kind of year like that. There were about 10 factors involved in this, and they were all pushing against each other. But those things needed to be worked on. Yeah. And that was, I think, his assignment in the offseason. I think until the idea that Bo might have been available came up, they were willing to go there and maybe get another good, a number two, because they would have had a lot more money than they will signing Bo, right? At the quarterback spot. Because that's a serious amount more money we're talking about here.
Well, I mean, I want to talk about that because we haven't talked since the free agency list officially came out. There's a lot of names on that list, and obviously, with the deal, Bo Levi is at the top. But I mean, right after, There's a Jovan Santos Knox. There's a Tim White. There's a Cam Kelly. I mean, this domino almost needs to fall before the Ticats can. I mean, because I've been wondering, I've been coming on here 3 times a week, hoping to bring fans some news. I think it might be a pretty quiet couple of weeks until we figure something out here with the guy on top.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. There could be something, maybe, look, don't discount. This isn't the deal. This isn't the main impetus, but don't discount two other parts of Bo being here. And then, and I don't think it hurts that the Hamilton Spectator wrote about it, because now two groups of people that the players would already have known.
Yeah.
Right. They would have found out through other. Bo's the one who told me he was coming 3 weeks ago in Regina, or 2 weeks ago, whenever the Grey Cup was, said he was coming here at a point. So, but it doesn't hurt for the Ticats to let two groups know, their own potential free agents and their fans, that they've got this, and again, full court press is probably a little bit too strong, but it's not far off, going on, that they're doing everything they can here to get, they set a goal, and that they've taken a major step here in that goal. What I mean, as you say, and correctly, he was coming here anyways. He was going to visit at some point everybody, but this way they get. They had a lot of time with him. I mean, they had a lot of time with him. This wasn't just an hour or two.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know fans have been curious, wondering, waiting for something to happen. Yeah. But I think there's another thing to remember here, and kind of changing subjects is talking about those free agents. Cam Kelly has NFL experience and has 2 very good years on tape. He's not going to be in a rush to sign. He's going to want to explore his options. Tim White is a professional athlete who has tape he can show from year 1 to year 2. He's probably not going to be in a rush to sign. I mean, there's going to be some Ticats players that fans are going to want to sign, that there might be some patience necessary.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. I mean, the 2 that I would identify off the offense in terms of people touching the ball, that's for me. But again, if Bo would be, might either, maybe Bo has a different idea of the kind of players he likes, but not that he's the GM, but he'll have an input, is what he seemed to apply. It would be Tim White and Wes Hills would be the 2. I mean, there's lots of people they want back on the offense, but that would be the 2. And then you could maybe go to Dunbar after that, because Dunbar is the kind of guy that a guy like Bo Levi kind of likes. Got some height, right? Like, if you take a look, Bo likes tall guys, right? Yeah. He's got some smaller guys too, but he likes the tall guys too. So, that's the kind of thing that's where Johnson, I think, is probably a selling point. And maybe, if they can get, we'll see. I mean, there's other free agents out there. Maybe there's people that would follow Bo. This has happened before too. It's just like coaches. That's one of the reasons why he sort of wanted to see where coaches shook down. He mentioned that to me, and that because if you say go to somewhere and you're thinking, I'm going to work with this OC, and they got some pretty good defenders here, and then either the OC or the DC leaves to coach somewhere else, that players from that team follow him. We saw it in Ottawa with the GM. Right. We saw players follow Berkey to Ottawa, and that's very common around this league. You see players follow. Jones brings in people like that. You see that. You just see that happen. So that's the other thing about coaching stability, and where do players end up? And again, if those guys try the NFL, it doesn't mean they have to come back to Hamilton.
Yeah.
The only ones that have to come back to Hamilton are ones that are allowed to go for an NFL tryout that were on contract here, and the Ticats let them go for a window for camp, that kind of thing. But guys like White, you're correct, and what Tim did point out at the end of the year to both of us was, to you and me, was, it's sort of the first full year he'd had to be just a football player. He didn't have the triple jump on his mind, right?
Yeah. It'll be interesting just because I feel like there's a lot of players. I know, Ticats fans might have perked up, maybe thought Reggie Begelton, but he extended his deal last week with the Calgary Stampeders, just as one possible player who could have maybe followed Bo, but he re-signed with the Stamps. But again, that's
a good point that he could have followed Bo, and don't think that wasn't in Calgary's mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've seen that before. We've seen the Ticats do similar moves, right, to lock up their guys.
Well, the classic was Danny McManus and Darren Flutie.
Yeah,
coming here together. Well, it won them, put them into 2 Grey Cups, won them 1, and they could have won 3. So it's the last.
Just on a general CFL term, you brought up Danny Mac. He seems to be in line for that Winnipeg job. Just for the tight-lippedness on the future of the GM there. I mean, I know that's how they negotiate there in Winnipeg with O'Shea and stuff, but I don't know. I feel like Danny McManus is inching towards that GM title in Winnipeg.
And Kyle would go up, and Kyle would go to he would be president. Is that how you see that?
The Kyle Walters stuff. I mean, he's not under contract, is he? Is that like he's?
No, I don't know. Yeah, what the deal is there?
Yeah,
but I think he could be if he wanted to be.
Yeah.
No, what's Kyle Walter done wrong in the last 3 years?
Yeah. So, and you have Danny Mac waiting in the wings, right?
Yeah,
and you saw what Calgary did today, promoting Dickinson to GM officially with that title. So it's I mean, it's an interesting league. Obviously, we know that. Milty, looking ahead to 2023, I've said this with everybody. Expectations for this Ticats team, I mean, they are through the roof. Rightfully so, but the Grey Cup is in town. They know what it means to have the home team in the game. A disappointing year last year. They're going to have a franchise quarterback at QB. I mean, the expectations are through the roof, Milty.
They are. Again, I'm going to repeat what I've said for 2 years. I think it was far more important for them to make it 2 years ago into the Cup, because that was our first Cup. There was no community memory of hosting a Grey Cup, right? Because it had been 26 years or 25 years since they had the Cup. So I think it was more important to have it in 2 years ago, to not necessarily from the football team standpoint, but from the organizational standpoint, so that when you have another one, especially one it's supposed to be a full-fledged Grey Cup, the last one had to be limited. Although now with the arena situation, some of the full-fledgedness we're a little worried about. But yes, on the field, as far as the team goes, the expectations are high. But I think so's the worry. I mean, if you look at it from the Grey Cup that they lost at home to throughout the entire season, there were just so many things that looked exactly the same, in terms of problems, where the issues were. Now, does quarterback change all of those issues if that's the case? Maybe, maybe not. I would say not. I mean, quarterbacks don't play defense in the fourth quarter and allow a team to go from a shadow of its own goalpost to the winning points. So that, there's a lot of issues that have to be really dissected here, in their coaching tree for one thing, and maybe in their talent tree, saying, well, how are we at certain things? But so I think there's a little bit of worry among fans. So expectations, yes. Some of those are, attached to concern, and they should be, given the history, right? I mean, till you see what's what, right? And one would assume this is a bright group of coaches that any problems that were there and that you could lay directly at their feet, they will work on some, in some way and be honest. It's easier to be honest when everything's over, because now you're not worrying about playing the next game, right, and dealing with the same factors. But now you can say, okay, here's really some of the things that went wrong, and my understanding is that process they are doing.
Well, Milty, it was 1 year ago today. Does that sound right? December 12th, 2021.
Well,
wow, what a year it's been, eh?
Wow, you're right. Well, you look at it,
We're
you take a look at that.
I said the date off the top of the show, and for some reason, December 12th, because it had been circled on the calendar for so long. Obviously, the first Grey Cup in Hamilton, but
Yeah.
1 year ago today.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's when you look at what it felt very odd. You and I were talking about this off air about not being at the stadium. And Saturday I went down because I knew Bo was there. You know, I didn't want to tip off anybody else that he was there. So I was doing what we call in the business bird dogging, which is mean sitting out and waiting to see if anything could happen. I realized I hadn't even been near the stadium since the very last practice that they had there. And that's how long ago, before, I didn't, in fact, I was away. I stayed in Ottawa after the Ottawa game. So it was before the last game of the season. And it seems so weird because we had been there like starting December, like all through when did the season start that year in 21? It started in July, right? So we were there. We were at the practices. I think they practiced there all the way through. And then right after Christmas, Forge is back in. And we had the games there with the Forge, and then we had the hockey was in for outdoor games, and then we had the Forge season, then we had the Ticats season. We were there forever. It was one incredible 12-month period, 11 months really. It was only a year ago. A year ago today. That's interesting.
feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, one of the great Grey Cups.
A year ago today.
Everybody was talking about how great the Grey Cup was in Regina, and I thought the one the year before was better. The one here. Didn't you?
I wasn't in Regina, but I also know that the difficulties that come with that stadium and the complex near the stadium and the hotels. I mean, the one thing you gotta love about Hamilton is that everything is relatively close. And I don't know. I like I said, I've been to Regina for the Memorial Cup, and I've heard some great things about this year's Grey Cup, but that 2021 was something special, and considering what had happened, what happened after, right, going into that another lockdown over Christmas, it was nice to get to celebrate that. But I mean, just to kind of put a pin on that, to acknowledge 365 days ago where we were. I was at this time at the convention center, probably hosting the pre-game show with Luke and Andy, and so it's been quite the year.
Well, they've already all the teams have already booked their rooms for the convention center. Or the Spirit of Edmonton's already booked where it's going to go, and scheduled its breakfast and all. They've already done all of that stuff, which they mentioned to me when I was out talking to them in Regina. They've got their spots, but I'll just throw this little bit of a deflator in here. Is I don't know how much that not having the arena is going to affect things. I think that's a serious issue. And that one, it's not the same as forcing teams out for 2 years, but that is the make or break part of the financial and the sort of cultural part of the downtown. Like, you can't sort of just have this arena sitting dark when you want everybody walking from James Street and all around over to the convention center. The arena was where they're going to have some big concerts. I don't know which concerts they were going to have, but this limits a few things. So, I'll be writing about this more as we get more detail on it. And I don't know if there's a way they can do it.
Okay, I just want to clarify this because I know you've been writing. You talked to the owner of the Toronto Rock. He says he's coming back. We know the Hamilton Honey Badgers have permanently left for Brampton. But
they can come back in a minute. That league is exactly. But not as the Badgers, right? Yeah,
exactly. And they've done a great job expanding. Obviously, we've seen them grow across the country. So to that, just to clarify, when the articles that are coming out here, they're saying construction is beginning next spring. Are we talking spring 2023? Are we talking spring 2024? Yeah. Okay. So 2023. So that will be when the Bulldogs finish this season, whenever that is. We're talking May.
Well, it'll be after. Yeah, it'll be after. I think aren't the Country Music Awards here in June or July or something like that?
Okay,
that's when it's supposed to be, and now that's a long way to the Grey Cup. So you'd think that they can't really hold it empty and not start till then. But so again, I don't know what kind of thing they would do, but it's integral to have a 10,000 seat concert. I mean, that's where it's a big part of remembering this is going to be a smaller in terms of crowds, like in terms of live at the stadium, a different, it's not going to be massive like some of them, it's not going to be 45,000 or something like that. So you got to make your money elsewhere for the festival and for the city. And that's a big downer if you can't have that rink and have, let's say it was going to be the Arkells or somebody. I mean, Shawn Mendes' name has come up, or even Justin Bieber, I mean, what would that bring in? And also what kind of spirit would that create? It's good that the idea is to, it'd be incredible. And you'd have a couple of smaller concerts in there too, like more, smaller groups, but still really good, so
like
I don't know.
Groups that could have filled the convention center if, the convention center wasn't being used for other reasons, right? I mean, those are kind of those shows those 5,000 seat shows. And it'll be interesting.
But I think you were looking at something bigger than that, Louie. You were looking at something much bigger than that. You were not looking at 5,000. We're looking at much, much, much bigger.
We will keep our
that was in the original plan.
Yeah.
That was in the original plan. Yeah.
Well, the original plan, if fans haven't checked them out, go back, check the renderings. It seems like so long ago we were at Tim Hortons Field announcing the what would have been the 2021. I forget, the years all got messed up, right? Because of COVID.
Yeah.
But anyway, also in the paper today, as I picked it up, Mayor Horvath is quoted on talking about the new arena and the disappointment of losing the team, but obviously a world-class facility that's planned there at First Ontario Center.
Yeah, that should. I mean, I'm in favor of the thing happening. Obviously, and anything that helps the downtown helps everywhere. Even though people sometimes don't feel that if you live in the outlying areas, the idea is finding a better way of getting people to be able to get downtown. It's pretty difficult.
We are not getting into a mountain and downtown debate here, Melty.
Everybody knows where I stand. So
we do. Melty, I appreciate your contributions to this show and the network, and more importantly, I appreciate your friendship over the last year and more. So thank you, buddy. Have a very happy holiday season with you and the family. So thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
All right, you had a great year, Louie.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
And you'll have one next year, too. Okay, bye.
And my thanks to the Hamilton Spectator, Steve Milton, for joining me today. And my thanks to you as well. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode of this show or any of the other great shows that we have for you, including a special project we're going to be working on tomorrow. It'll be a year-end review show, a Ticats Audio Network style. Yeah, we're getting together, the whole lot of us, Andy, Luke, Coach Sal. We'll be down at Tim Hortons Field and putting together a little piece for you, the listener, as we look back on 2022 and look ahead to 2023. Yeah, hard to believe it's been 1 year, exactly 365 days ago, in which, the game that we do not talk about happened. And it also puts it into perspective that the next Grey Cup is coming up sooner than you think. Yeah. In honor of it being the 1 year anniversary of the last Grey Cup held in Hamilton, we're celebrating the next Grey Cup being held in Hamilton, and we got a date. Yeah, the Grey Cup is going to be November the 19th, 2023. So circle your calendar, and we'll have more on that later on this week when the Ticats COO Matt Affinick joins the show. So make sure you, again, like, subscribe, do whatever you need to do to get the show into your ears, and we appreciate it very much. So we're back later this week. From all of us here at the Ticats Audio Network, I'm Louie Butko. Hoping you have a great day.